coming into a half curl on each rep, getting a little extra range of motion. And at my main gym again today. So yesterday was jiu-jitsu day, so there was no video. During jiu-jitsu class, I got caught up in a couple of awkward positions, and as a result, my whole body is kind of sore. So today, I kind of want to start off with like slow and controlled movements that just get blood going into the whole body. Personally, when things are sore, I think it's a good idea to like do full range of motion bodybuilding style exercises. It helps stretch everything out and direct blood flow into it, which I think helps fasten the recovery, although it's kind of painful in the moment. Um, Later on, I might do some high intensity stuff just to get my heart rate high and burn a few calories or extra calories. But for the beginning of this, I want to do bodybuilding style movements and in a slightly higher rep range because my goal is more to get like direct blood flow and get a pump. Starting off with alternating lat pull downs, single handed. So I guess a couple of cues about this is I'm letting my head sink in between the cables such that I guess my ears are in the same line as my elbow, if that makes sense. I guess arm length might change that for other people, but at least for me, it feels like my ears are pretty level with my elbows at the end of each movement. Going for 10 on each side. And as I pull down, I'm kind of leaning back. And then 5 two-handed pull down. Then for the second movement, doing kettlebell shoulder presses. So having two 25-pound kettlebells, going to go for 10 presses on each side. At the end of the set, I want to talk about shoulder mobility real quick. And I want to do it from the side just so you can notice something. So notice how as I press, I'm pressing up into the back. And two-handed shoulder presses for 5. Again, up into the back. Alright, so a little thing about shoulder mobility. So what I've noticed is a lot of people, when they do pull downs or any kind of press, they have a tendency of, so like let's say with a military press, they lean back and press up. If you notice that that movement is kind of going this way as opposed to over the head. Same thing with the pull downs. If you lean back and pull it to your chest, your shoulder never really gets to experience a range of motion that's behind your head. So what I've noticed is with most people, they do that a lot and tend to have poor shoulder mobility where they can't go behind their head. Um, yeah, where they can't go behind their head, and that's a thing that can be corrected by making sure you do full range of motion uh, while doing your exercises. In any case, that's what I'm doing for now. 5 sets, then on to the next thing. For the next set of movements, doing another back and shoulder thing. Although with like kettlebell shoulder stuff, there's a lot of upper chest involved because you go down all the way. Um, anyway, so I had mentioned earlier I wanted to do high rep stuff. So doing high rep stuff with this. Starting off with wide grip single arm lat pull downs. So in the previous exercise, I had my hand starting in the outstretched portion of the movement. So I was doing my lats were stretched at the beginning of each rep. But here I'm going to hold it in contracted position and then do alternate. So going for 10 on each side and opting for a reverse grip. Usually I recommend doing the palm turning cue, but sometimes it's good to not do that if you're trying to experience a very specific kind of contraction. So right now I'm opting to do the reverse grip because there's a certain area in my mid back that I feel the contraction better on when I do a reverse grip. And so for that reason, I'm doing this grip. After doing 10 on each side, doing 5 reps together. Now I'm going to repeat that entire sequence but facing away. So because of how the cables are placed, the contraction that's felt in the back. So here my hands are pulled up into the back versus in the other case it's a little up into the front. In any case, starting in the same position and doing 10 reps. And then 5 reps together. The thing with high rep stuff is you get a really good pump, and I personally enjoy that burning feeling in the muscles, especially during high rep sets. For the next movement, doing cannonball shoulder presses. So keeping with the theme of doing high rep stuff, using two 20-pound kettlebells, which is 9.1 kilograms. So a cannonball grip is when you hold the kettlebell by the ball portion instead of the handle. Similar to the previous movement, going to start in contracted position instead of the stretched position, and then one hand comes down, but I'm rotating my palm in and kind of coming into a half curl on each rep, getting a little extra range of motion and a few more muscles involved. And like I said earlier, I'm pressing up into behind my head. Getting full range of motion behind my head as well. After 8, I'm doing two-handed. And then finishing off with seesaw shoulder presses. No rep count, just to burn out. So yeah, massive chest and shoulder pump from that. But yeah, this is what I'm doing for now. Going to do 5 sets of this, and yeah, just I think it is a good takeaway to have, because I have noticed it recently in the gym where a lot of people, when they do lat pull downs, they like lean back and just pull straight, which is not a wrong thing in and of itself. But if you do that all the time, and then even with military presses, people lean back and press like this and stuff up and back. So what ends up happening is your muscles get strong both pushing and moving back in a leaning back position, and it never really experiences the range of movement behind your head. And so anytime you go behind your head, like your overhead position of your hand, or for your hands to hold anything overhead, when that's the case, it's more unstable, because when you're leaning back, all like, let's say you're trying to carry something and you're leaning back, the pressure is more on the lower back. And so if you're able to get your whole body under it, it's supported by your spine, your core, your legs. And I think as a result, there is likelihood of injury or strain or whatever if you don't train your body to be in that overhead position. I hope all of this makes sense. I hope I'm making sense. Doing this for 5 sets, on to the next thing. So for the next set of movements, doing landmine presses with a multi-grip bar. So a multi-grip bar is one of these things that has a bunch of different grip variations in the middle. People usually use it for like a parallel grip bench press and stuff like that, or even like hammer grip barbell curls. In any case, this is a movement that I've done in the past, and I actually like this movement quite a bit to target the upper chest. But since it's a setup that I don't require very often, by setup I mean multi-grip on a landmine, I don't do it very often, but decided that today might be a good day to throw it in. So I have two 25s on, and I'm not really sure how much the bar weighs. It definitely feels lighter than 45 pounds, so take that for what it's worth. So going to hold the first grip and then position such that my upper chest is stretched, and press 10 times. I really feel a good stretch in the upper chest from doing this movement. Then supersetting that with gorilla rows with a 35-pound kettle, or with two 35-pound kettlebells for 12 on each side. Really good pump in the chest and back from that. This is probably going to be the last push, pull, or chest back, whatever movement. Probably going to do some abs and or mobility next. So for the final set of movements, doing chest supported Y raises to rear delt flies. So usually I just do Y raises, but I decided to kind of make this variation just to keep things interesting. So Y raises is a muscle that mainly targets a set of muscle fibers in the mid back called the trap 3. So raising it up in a Y pattern using two 10-pound dumbbells. Then going to do two flies. Then two Y raise it. Then two flies. Targeting different sets of muscles in the back with both these movements. So by the end of it, I've done 10 Y raises, 10 rear delt flies. And essentially, both those movements are movements that you can't go really heavy on, just because of how much the muscles are isolated, I guess. And yeah, helps a lot with shoulder mobility and keeping an open chest and things of that nature. Then supersetting that with cable knee raises. So I have the cable machine attached to my feet, going to lean back and then bring one knee back at a time, targeting the hip flexors and lower and outer abs, because this cable machine kind of pulls my feet on a like out to a wider angle. When I bring in, it targets like the obliques, and I'm not sure if the bench is covering, but I'm moving my hand around my obliques. All right, 10 on each side. After 10, just kind of going to burn out with both legs at the same time. Yeah, that time around, 3 was enough to burn me out. Doing 3 sets of this, then going to sit in the sauna for a long time. Like I said earlier, I think my jiu-jitsu session has got me feeling pretty sore, so I want to direct as much blood flow around my body as possible, which seems to help me recover. Yeah, tomorrow is jiu-jitsu day again, so no video. See you all in the next one.